Ad costs are constantly rising, competition is just getting bigger and bigger every single day, and all that means for you is that getting the new customers is way more expensive than ever. But what it also means is that the value of your current customers is becoming more and more important. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how you should retain your customers and maximize the lifetime value of those customers by implementing the right post-purchase journey. So let's get right into the video. It's gonna be the complete retention masterclass, pretty much the only video you need to know how to create high converting post-purchase flow. Now, the right post-purchase strategy will help you get more repeat orders, increase the lifetime value of your current customers, boost your cash flow because you'll be getting the cash from those existing customers faster, improve your profit margins and profitability in general, mainly because you're not paying anything to acquire those customers. And then you'll also be able to beat the competition just by winning the economics war because you on the back end will be making way more than anywhere else, and then you will be able to spend more on the front end to acquire those customers. So just very quickly before we go into the actual content of the video, if you want to get a free retention audit of your current strategy, there's going to be a link below this video, so you can just go ahead, book a call with me. Again, it's entirely free. I'm going to show you how you can just make more money from your existing customers without changing anything on the front end. So again, it's entirely free. No pressure, but just feel free to book it. It's going to help you quite a lot. Now, before I get into the actual structure, what to do, what to send, it's time to understand the basics, because without understanding the basics, it's going to be very hard for you to create actually high converting post-purchase flow, because you just won't know, the idea behind all of that, why you're doing it, and so on. So first of all, let's talk about the importance of retention in general. The times where scaling an e-commerce brand, or honestly any business in general, that was easy and cheap, are long gone. Advertising costs are going through the roof due to the increasing competition. Consumers, on the other hand, are more cautious with how they spend their money, and competitors are undercutting your price while offering technically the same product and solution. Obviously, usually, the quality is gonna be way worse, but people that are buying from them don't know it yet, right? All of that means that acquiring a new customer is harder and more expensive than ever, and it's going to be like that for the foreseeable future. It's not going to get easier at all because of the AI and everything else, all the tools we have available. And this is exactly why it's so important to retain all of these customers, and mainly because you already paid the cost to acquire them. So every single next sale that you're going to make is going to be highly profitable for you. And just to show you a simple example, assuming they're selling a $39 product and cost of goods plus shipping, everything to get the product ready and shipped are $10. And again, that's like just an example. So, it includes all of the fees, everything else pretty much, right? When you're working on the acquisition side, and obviously you need to be always working on this, but when you're acquiring the customer, let's say your cost per purchase is going to be like $20. So you're running at 2x ROAS, which I think is, fairly achievable in e-commerce and is not like exaggerated or too beautiful to be true. And in this example, you're making, $9 in profit, right? Because your product that someone is paying for is 39, you're paying 10 to get the product ready and shipped, and 20 to acquire that customer, so you're making $9 profit. Now, it's still profitable, so that's very good, because in this example, you're still making money on the front end, but then if you're not working on anything on the back end or retention, this is how your journey ends, right? So if someone buys from you just once, you pretty much made $9 on this person, which again, it's still very good because you still made the profit. But let's take a look at the retention side, where the only cost you have is the cost to produce the product, processing fees, and to ship the product essentially. And in this example, you would make $29 in profit, which is over 3 times more than when you're acquiring a customer, because the customer acquisition costs are long gone. And I'm not saying that, like, obviously you won't be able just to build your business only on retaining customers. You need to keep acquiring them every single day. But the point of that is that once you have your backend ready to go and optimized, you'll be making $29 more in profit based on what you've done before per every single customer. So then once you acquire this customer, they're no longer giving you $9 in profit, but if you get them to order from you one more time, you'll be making $38 in profit just because you already paid the cost to acquire them. And the best part is that you're selling, that selling your more expensive items or bundles or anything else to existing customers is easier than to strangers because they already know you, they trust you, and you know what your brand is all about. So again, I'm not saying acquisition is bad, because it is necessary to grow the business and it's absolutely something you need to be doing all the time. But I just want to show you an example of how profitable your backend really is if you do it properly, if you know how to build it and how to structure everything so that you're making pretty much 3 times more in profit from every single sale on the retention backend rather than on the front end for acquisition. Now, let's also talk about the most important factor that really matters when it comes to retention. And, people or marketers in general, they love to attribute their retention results mostly to things that aren't a real driver of that, mainly because it sounds, sexy and it's super easy to sell you on something they have to sell. But, whether it's retargeting ad, emails, SMS, physical cards, or community or group that you have, all of these help and are super helpful and necessary. But everything above is just a channel that allows you to communicate your message and get it in front of the existing customers. This message in itself does not really do the retention, because what really matters and what makes or break your retention is your product. You can have the best copy in the world, the best offer in the world for, complimentary products or subscription or whatever. But if someone bought your product and it didn't work for them or it was broken or bad, it doesn't really matter. I mean, a simple example is that if you bought an apple that was rotten and it made you sick after eating it, you wouldn't come back to the same store even if they were giving away the apples for free. Because you know that, even if they are free, like, so what? It's not gonna make your life easier, it's gonna make your life even worse, right? Like, money aside. So this is really just something to keep in mind. And before you blame your low retention on emails, ads, texts, or anything else, just work on how you can make your product better and improve it. And I know it's hard because, honestly, it's so much easier to say, yeah, like, we're doing some emails and our retention is not working, so emails are broken. But you need to take one step back and be like, okay, do people have a reason to buy my product again? Did it work for them? Do they need to buy it again in the first place? Is there something else that I can offer to them that is going to be complementary and useful? Not because I want to make money of them, but what actually is going to help them and be useful. This is how you need to shift your thinking, that, retention is really done on the product side. Because if you purchased something that's great, you're going to buy from that other brand once again, no matter what. Even if probably they don't email you, if they don't send you any text. Of course, emails, text, all of that helps with, getting in front of the customers, whether it's a new product, new offer, or just a reminder to even replenish a supplement. But if the product itself is working great and you need it to function properly, let's say you're struggling with insomnia and, lack of sleep, if the product is helping you get 8 to 10 hours of sleep every single day, you're gonna be getting it because it solves a huge problem and most importantly, it works. So now, where does the post-purchase flow really come into all of this, So once you have the product that people genuinely want to buy and they need it, it's only a matter of letting them know why they need more of it, why they bought it in the first place, so kind of reminding them about the problem that the product is solving, and that letting them know that there are other complementary products available that they might need. Emails in your post-purchase flow is the most efficient and effective way to do that. Mainly because it's super cheap to send and people love to read emails, they read texts as well. It's not like emails are outdated or whatever, and it's always gonna be there. So that's why post-purchase flow is the best way to get your messaging, offers, and reasoning for someone buying again in front of your target audience or current customers. So now let's talk about the actual post-purchase journey. Now, first of all, I want to clarify that I'm saying journey specifically and not the flow, because I don't really like using flow when talking about retention, mainly because people usually see it as a template that they just fill out and send some random emails to your customers. The right way to look at it though is to think about the whole customer journey. So you need to map out and plan literally everything. What do you want the customers to feel after they purchase? What do you want them to think? What should they know, how to align it with the product delivery, and then how to manage the expectations of your product. All of that has to be engineered, so whenever the customer receives the email, they'll be like, damn, that's exactly what I was thinking about. And usually the best way to create the experience is again by having the right journey, planning it out, and aligning with all of the shipment process and delivery of the product. Now, the biggest mistake that most brands make, or the thing that they get wrong, is trying to sell as much as possible in their post-purchase flow. I mean, ultimately, it's all about retention, so you should be selling, right? Well, not really, because like I said before, retention is all about having a good product that gets people the desired result. Getting the desired result itself and creating a journey that someone is happy to go through, that's the selling itself. So before I show you the flow structure, I just want you to understand that the goal here is not to do lots of selling, cross-sells, upsells, but it's to make sure that people get the results that they wanted in the first place. And then, like, obviously we'll have some upsell, cross-sell emails, but the main goal here is to make sure that people know how to use the product, what to expect, and what the results look like. because supplements are a great example. Sometimes there's gonna be like a placebo or whatnot. People aren't sure if it's working, so we need to let them know what the actual end result is gonna look like and what getting the results feels like. Now, one more important thing, I promise before getting into the actual structure, is differentiating placed order metric in Klaviyo and fulfilled order. Because one of the best ways to improve someone's journey is having triggers for your post-purchase flow. Having those two metrics instead of just one. Most brands just go with placed order, which is okay, but having both of these is better, and you'll see why in just a second. So placed order metric is right after someone makes a purchase, doesn't matter if they get the product. Fulfilled order, on the other hand, is when you fulfill your order inside of your Shopify or whatever platform you're using, which usually means that it's gonna be triggered when the order is shipped. This is the base for everything else we'll be doing, and you will see why in just a second. So here's the post-purchase flow for the placed order metric. Again, trigger is gonna be placed order. Then we have email number 1, which is now gonna be a simple thank you for your order. Then we have an optional. Again, this email is not necessary, it's optional because it can get some complaints from the customers, but you need to play around it as well. But email number 2 should be something about bounce back or immediate cross-sell upsell. And then email number 3 is gonna be all about removing buyer's remorse and building trust. So email number 1 is gonna be a simple thank you email. This is not an order confirmation email because some people can confuse it. This is a separate email that is meant to congratulate people on the purchase. Buyer's remorse might show up right away after they make the purchase, so we want to hype them up and say that their purchase matters. If you support any charities, it's worth mentioning here in that email specifically. And one more tip I have for you is that you can add 3 to 5 minute time delay before sending this email, so you avoid sending it along all of the confirmation email from Shopify all at once. It's just gonna be better for the customer journey. Email number 2, this is gonna be an immediate cross-sell upsell. I personally like to send this email 1 hour after they make a purchase, just because they're still in the buying mode, they're still likely to spend more with you. So this is the way to do it. This is one of the 2 emails though that will be where we'll be selling them in the whole post-purchase journey. And the key here is not to make this email sound like you're selling anything, but rather like you're trying to help them out. And I'll explain what I mean in just a second. Because usually this email should say something along the lines of, hey, we're about to start processing. It's very important that you don't say we're about to ship your order, because then if you say this, you actually need to ship it. So you need to say, hey, we're about to start processing your order and wanted to see if there is anything else you would like to add. And then just don't leave them at that. You need to give them a reason why they should do it in the first place. Some of the examples would be, if there's anything else you would like to add so you save on your shipping, so you don't need to wait longer for the next order, or that other customers often purchase this too, so you can have it as an add-in to your initial order because it's gonna help you with XYZ. Again, make it sound super soft and simple, not like you're pushing people to make the purchase. Like, hey, we just thought it would be helpful to ask if you would like to buy anything else. That's it. And as an optional thing, if you want to get the best results possible, you can add a time-limited discount or incentive that will make them buy again pretty much 1 hour after they make the purchase. Email number 3 is going to be all about removing buyer's remorse and building trust and the brand itself. The type of the email can be either design-based or plain text if it's going to be an email from the founder. This is a relationship building type of email. You want to make people good about their purchase and kind of remind them why they bought it in the first place. So a good thing to do here is just to remind them about the problem you're solving, how the product will help them, and how great it is. Like, I mean, you can even show some of the reviews so people can actually get hyped up and actually be waiting to get their order delivered right away. But if you have a founder-led brand or a cool story on why you started the brand in the first place, this is the email where you want to talk about it. People like to resonate with stories, especially if you're struggling with the same problem they used to struggle or are struggling because they didn't get your product yet. Then again, talk about it right here. It's gonna convert very well. They're gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm just like this person, very happy to buy from them because they're just like me, right? And if they resonate with you, they're gonna like you more and buy from you more again in the future. You can make it the plain text email just to make it feel a bit more personal. Now, here's the flow for the fulfilled order, because honestly, for the placed order, that's all we need. Like, we don't want to be sending them too many emails before we ship out the product. All of these are kind of meant to be like top of the mind, that remember like, hey, we know about you, we're trying to let you know more about the brand. But then you have a fulfilled order flow, which is going to be where we, pretty much show them a little bit more about all of the brand. So trigger is going to be fulfilled order. Then you want to wait 1 to 3 days, depending on how long your shipping takes. But email number 1 is going to be instructions on how to use the product. So this time delay needs to align with when they get the order, because you want to send this email ideally the day before they get the product, so they know how to use it before they receive it, and they won't be like, okay, I received the product, but what do I do, how do I use it, what to expect, and all of this stuff. Then email number 2, you want to keep building relationships, so you can either promote your social media profiles or send them a relevant blog article. Then you wait a little bit longer, usually 5 to 10 days after the previous email, which is gonna be almost 2 weeks after it was shipped. And this is the second email in the whole journey where you do cross-sell, upsell, or referral system. And then you wait 7 to 14 days, ask them about the experience, 7 to 14 days, and then just either leave a review or fill out the feedback form. Email number 1, once again, is just very quickly to explain to those people how to use the product. We want to time this email based on how long your shipping takes, so make sure that you adjust your time delay accordingly. I can't tell you exactly how much it's gonna be. You can even do it yourself, or you go through the whole journey and see if everything is timed correctly. Overall, this email is again meant to tell people how to use the product and kind of set expectations. You should talk about how long it takes to see the results, what the end result looks like, and then potentially answer some FAQs. Email number 2 is gonna be a simple follow us on social media. So this is gonna be another relationship building email. You want to get people to follow you on social media because the more communication channels, the better. And the alternative to that would be a blog article that talks about the problem you're solving and how the product works. More education never hurts. So if you have a relevant blog article, go with that. If you don't, just promote your social media accounts, and that's fine as well. Email number 3 is going to be all about cross-sell, upsell, referral system. This is the second and the last place where we'll be doing a bit of selling in the post-purchase flows. Now, important thing here is to not make it a random cross-sell. It should be a complementary product, and you should have a solid reasoning for why someone might need it. You can also push subscription here if you do have it available. If not, then just promote some complementary products. But another angle that you can use is your referral system. This is a great angle based on how your customers are acquired. And this might not be true for all of the brands, but we've got clients where our post-purchase survey that we're asking people, how did you come across our brand? Over 20% of the recipients said that they were referred or introduced for the referral system. In this case, having a referral system email in this place would be the right move, just because it was acquiring like 1/5 of all of the customers. So it's very important to have this email if that's the case for you. If you don't know, you can also just have both of these emails, and that's gonna solve the problem as well. Email number 4 is gonna be collecting feedback from the customers, which is super important. Because normally you could send an email like, hey, leave a review, kind of thing, but we don't want to do this, and I'll explain why in just a second. So after the customers have used the product, it's time to ask them about the experience. And again, time delay for this email is gonna be based on how long it usually takes to see the results and how long your shipping takes, and so on and so forth. But we don't want to do what most brands do, which is asking for a review right away, because even if you have a great product, there will always be someone who dislikes something and is not fully satisfied. Doesn't really matter if it's the product itself they're not happy with, or the customer service, or anything else. To avoid these low star reviews, you are introducing a simple concept of NPS, which is Net Promoter Score email. Basically, instead of asking people to rate you on your site or Trustpilot, we're asking them to do that within the email itself. So we have buttons that are clickable where people can rate you 1 to 10, and those who rate you between 1 and 7, they get sent to the feedback form, being like, hey, sorry to hear you didn't like your experience, let us improve. But those who rate you 8 to 10, they get sent to the review page, whether it's your store or a Trustpilot page. Again, it really helps you get higher scores on pretty much all of the reviews. We've had one client where we took them from 2.9 on Trustpilot to 4.4 in like 2 months, just by implementing this simple thing. Because again, we're sending the review request email only to people that were satisfied in the first place. And then what you do pretty much is have a follow-up email for each of the answers. So someone that rated you 1 to 7, it's still very nice to collect feedback from them to see where you can improve, whether it's making your product better, your customer service, your whole journey, or anything else. But then for those that rated you 8 to 10, you want to collect reviews from them, and you can be sure that pretty much 99% of these reviews will be positive. I mean, there's always gonna be someone who sneaks in and still gives you a negative review. They can just go to the site manually and do it. But we were actually sending this automated email only to those who actually were happy with the experience. So again, this will just help you maximize the rating for your reviews and for your products. Now, if you still want to get the free retention audit, again, there's gonna be a link below this video in the description. It's entirely free. I'm gonna audit your entire strategy and let you know how you can improve. But this video is not done yet. I'm gonna show you how to create these post-purchase flows in Klaviyo, which again is gonna be super simple as well. This is the Klaviyo's new UI, which is honestly pretty nice. So what you need to do is go to flows, then you click on create new or create flow. And then, you can just either create your own, or you can see that they have already like post purchase, right? Follow up, or they call it customer thank you, which doesn't really matter. So customer thank you, and this one has a placed order metric, so you can do it like that. You can call it post purchase, and I usually like to include the metric triggered as well, so placed order, right? You can either use a dash or something like this, both work. And then you can just click on use the template, and honestly, it's really as simple as that. It's not really complicated. For time delays, again, for the first email, I like to make it, 3 to 5 minutes, so it's not sent simultaneously with all of the other emails from Shopify directly. Let's make it 5, for example, and then just make sure that you turn off smart sending. And I mean, for the flow structure, this is again itself. But now if you want to do the fulfilled order metric, you need to do it from scratch. So you click on create flow, build your own, you can call it post purchase. And then again, you include the metric name, so fulfilled order. You can create the flow. And then you go to your metrics, Shopify, fulfilled order, save, and that's it. For filters, I don't like to include any filters. What you can do if you want to take it a step further is include this conditional split based on how many orders someone made. So the way you would do it, for example, in the placed order metric would be quite simple. You would just take the conditional split. You would do the what someone has done, placed order equals 1 overall time. And then in this case, the yes path would go to people who are first time buyers because, the amount of order they have with your brand equals 1. But the no path would go to everyone else, which is repeat customers. But again, it's super simple. If you want your whole strategy audited, again, there's going to be a link below this video in the description. I'm going to go through everything you are doing in your Klaviyo, both on the acquisition and retention side. So yeah, just fill it out. Schedule a call with me and we'll talk soon. Other than that, it's going to be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and see you in the next one. Cheers.